a few months ago, I went on a second date with a guy who was a few years older than me. He was like 29. And we had gone on our first date to like a brewery. We just grabbed drinks. It was like mellow. We just got to know each other. Typical first date. Second date, he was like, oh, I want to take you somewhere nice. Like, I'm going to get us reservations for this restaurant in town. Have you ever been there? I hadn't. So he was like, okay, yeah, like, I think you should try this restaurant with me. Makes the reservation. Reservation is at like 7:30. So we go and meet up at a bar across the street at like, we were supposed to meet up at 6:45. I was running a little bit late, but had kind of told him like I'm having a chaotic day. Like I will try to be there by 7. And so meet up at 7 across the street, grab a drink, go across the street to the restaurant for our reservation. We sit down, order drinks there. And then, we're chatting, we talk about the menu, he tells me what he recommends off the menu, and then our waitress comes and she's like, hey, are you guys ready to order? Like, do you know what you want? And he was like, no, I think we need like 5 more minutes. And so she walks away. I was like, okay, maybe I didn't make it like clear, like, oh, I think I'm going to get this. So I said it like, oh yeah, like the thing you recommended sounds good, like, I think I'm going to do that. We're sitting there, we're chatting, waitress comes by again. Hey, do you guys know what you want? He says, no, I think we need like 5 more minutes. I was like, well, maybe he just doesn't want to interrupt, like, our conversation. We're having, like, a good conversation, so maybe he just wants to, like, continue the momentum of the conversation. She comes back again. He proceeds to tell her we need 5 more minutes for 2 hours. 2 hours! We're sitting there having a conversation, and I'm a great conversationalist, so, like, we just keep it going. It doesn't get, like, awkward. The conversation doesn't slow down, but at some point, I'm like, when are we gonna, like, order, So he goes to the bathroom. The waitress comes to me. I'm sure I've been, like, blinking in Morse code, help me. I'm starving to death. Because when we were at the first bar, before we went across the street, he asked me if I was hungry. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like, I had such a chaotic day. I'm so excited to just, like, chill out and eat. So he knew I was hungry. The waitress comes by while he's in the restroom, and she's like, do you know what you want? I was like, yeah, I think when he gets back from the bathroom, we'll be ready to eat, like ready to order. Because I didn't want to order, if he was going to pay, I didn't want to order while he was in the bathroom. I thought that would be rude. So he comes back, we're chatting, the waitress comes back and she asks if we're ready to order, and he says we need 5 more minutes. Finally, the waitress comes back and she's like, we are closing the kitchen. Did you guys want to order some food? He turns to me and he's like, are you even like hungry? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty hungry. Like, I'm sitting here in my brain like, what the fuck are you talking about? Am I hungry? Like, I told you 3 hours ago I was hungry. So we order an entree to share. And it was really good. The food was great. It comes out. He goes and takes a bite and immediately burns the roof of his mouth on the food. So he's sitting there pouting while I'm kind of like still picking at the food, like blowing on it to cool it down because I'm starving. And he goes, oh, like I can't even taste anything because I burned my mouth. You can eat the whole thing if you want. Like I don't care if you eat the whole thing. So I did. I ate the whole thing because I was like, you kept me waiting here. It's now been 2.5 hours since our reservation. It's 10 p.m. They are closing the kitchen. And by the end of the date, the tone was just kind of nasty because, we had started talking about tattoos. I have tattoos on my arms, and he had tattoos on like his chest, arms, like legs, all of it. And he was asking me, because I had a tattoo appointment coming up, he was like, how much do you spend on your tattoos? And I was like, I typically don't really discuss that kind of thing with people because I feel like tattoo pricing ranges so much depending on style and your artist and where it's placed on the body. But I told him, I was like, like typically it's in this like ballpark range because I have like bigger pieces. And he started scoffing at me. Like, I've never spent that much on a tattoo before. I've never spent over $200 on a tattoo. And I was like, well, my artist has 2 kids, and I feel like I'm supporting her family by continuing to go to her and provide her my business. And he was just like talking down at me basically for how much I've spent on my tattoos and insinuating that I'm getting scammed by my artist who I have a great relationship with. So I also felt like the fact that he was being weird about ordering food for both of us, I almost want to say it was like a money thing where it was like he couldn't afford the restaurant that he picked to take me to and was hoping that we would just get drinks and leave. But it's like I never asked him to take me to like this nice restaurant. This was something he said he wanted to do. And so to be upset with me that I do spend money on myself and my appearance and things that make me happy, because you're upset that you're the one paying for a nice dinner you asked to take me to, I was just confused. And then usually when I'm on like a first, second, or even like sometimes a third date, I will plan something for after the date so that I have an excuse to leave if I feel like things aren't going well. So I was like, oh yeah, I did tell my friend I was gonna go help her like put together her bed frame tonight. And you know, it's getting late. It was like 10:30 at this point. I was like, I really need to like go help her out because otherwise she doesn't have a bed frame put together to sleep on tonight. And I was offering to like stay with him and wait for the check and like hang out. And he was like, no, you can go. Just go. I was like, okay, well, have a good night. Like, I was just so confused. I was like, I don't know what I did to warrant being spoken to this way. I thought the date was going pretty well until the tattoo conversation came up. So the fact that it spiraled out of control from there was just very confusing to me.
I don't think anything's confusing. He just didn't want to spend any money, it sounded like. It sounded like he just wanted to catch drinks, and if the drinks were good enough, that you guys would just probably leave and go to his place. But you're like, no, I'm hungry. Let's go to the restaurant, which, like, probably shocked him because he didn't want to spend any money. And then he tried to make sure that you didn't. Sounds like a guy you want to stay away from. What do you guys think? Put in the comment section below.